Test 1 2. Test 1 2. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Preston Sports Podcast. Sorry it's a day late. I got busy yesterday, but I'm coming at you it's only one day. Thursday, there's nothing that happens on Thursday. You need something to listen to, and I plan to be that for you guys today. We're doing football philosophy today, talking about running backs / fullbacks. It's really just running backs, but I'm going to share my piece on fullbacks and how they're not really used, and that's pretty much it. But I'll talk a little bit more about that before I get into it. Make sure you like, subscribe, you do a little boop on the notification bell, just so you get notified whenever videos go up. And I've said my piece. Let's just jump right into it. Looking at the fullback position, you don't see a lot about fullbacks. If I said name the top 10 fullbacks, who could you name? You can name Kyle Juszczyk, Patrick Ricard. Me personally, I can name Andy Janovich. I can name Anthony Sherman. Who's the Raiders guy? Some like Ito Smith, something like that. Fullback. Derek Watt, the third or the second Watt brother, technically. You can't name a lot of, I could probably name more. Like Johnny Stanton is a fullback, but he's a backup for the Browns. There is not a lot as far as fullbacks go. And the position, it's super not used. For example, Kyle, I did some research, and Kyle Juszczyk, probably the best tight end. He gets paid a good amount, actually, but the pay is part of the problem. But throughout his career, I think this year was his highest career touches. I think he had... it was not his highest touches. It was actually one of his lower touches. But let's go to his career high. His career high was 2015 with Baltimore. Was he a running back? Was he a running back for Baltimore? Because that's what this is saying, but I'm going to assume that he was just a fullback. His number was 44. He had 43 touches. He had 41 catches, really, and only one rush. Or two rushes, rather, if he had 43. Interesting. Well, I don't know much about Kyle Juszczyk, apparently. But his latest season on the Niners, he had 36 touches. And with those 36 touches, that's not a lot. It's not a lot. Only 36 touches. And for him to be the most utilized, or I shouldn't have said it was his career high, he was the most utilized fullback this year. 36 touches. You're looking at him getting 202 yards receiving and 64 yards rushing. So, it's not exactly the highest amount of yards ever. So he gets the most in the league, and it's nothing. And the reason is it's a position that just isn't necessary. You look at a typical fullback build, they're not the most athletic people ever. And so what the league is kind of transitioning to now is, you have your running back, and what you'll see is a tight end play the fullback position. So say they're in the I form, the fullback will be kind of that offset player. So it'll be center, and in one line, center, quarterback, running back, and then your fullback will be in between your quarterback and your running back, either to the left or to the right. And you'll see a lot of times the tight end will go, maybe a second, third string tight end, one who can block well, but also, has the athleticism and the versatility to catch the ball out of the backfield as well, rather than just regular fullback, where you will not see them used at all. I think Derek Watt had his first rushing attempt in week 17 of the season. You just don't see these guys used a lot because, it's unnecessary. And why would you pay a starting fullback $4 or $5 million a year, which I think is what Juszczyk is making, or why would you pay him anything when you could use your third string tight end for the exact same purpose? It just, why'd you do that? But yeah, so fullback, not really a used position anymore. But anyways, football philosophy. Running backs. Running backs have changed a lot. The NFL game recently has changed a lot. Even from like the 90s to now. The game has changed so much. If I'm looking at the rushing averages per year, it's actually really interesting. So I'll start modern day. So you're looking at you're looking at these guys getting a lot of touches. So it's difficult. So with rushing, now the Pro Football Reference, the website I use, it combines rushing and receiving. So it's hard for me to tell exactly what the running backs specifically get. I don't know if there's a way I could find that, but as far as rushing goes, you're looking at teams right now averaging like 118, almost 119 yards per game, rushing that is, on 27 attempts per game. The average is 4.4. Yards per attempt is a big stat for me. Big stat. And that's something you see go down as like you go all the way to 32 when these stats start being recorded. It's at 3.3. And then you see it slowly climb up, struggle to stay in 4s. Then eventually it gets to the 4s, and now you're looking at 4. It's going back and forth between 3 and 4. And now we're kind of getting to the point where it's like 4.4, 4.3, 4.4 is exactly where you want to be. Sorry, I just got a notification. So continuing with that, that's why you'll see, like, I don't think Josh Jacobs played that well this year, even though I think he had a good amount of yards. It was just like 3-point-something yards per attempt. So it's kind of like, But, so about 118 yards per game. I don't know why it tells me two different things. So let's go to my good friend, league averages per team season. What is this bottom one? Totals. That's what I like. So this year, 2020, there were 13,792 rushing attempts and 60,868 yards. 532 touchdowns on 4.4 per attempt. Now, what you'll see here, as we go back in time, you'll see attempts go up, right? Yes, attempts go up, and you'll see yards they'll probably stay about the same, depending on the year. But you go back to, when is it? You go back to 2009, 1,400 yards, and it kind of or 14,000 rather, and it stays around 1,300. Then you go all the way down to 1,200. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's gonna go down. It's actually fluctuating a lot. Oh, and that's interesting. So you're looking at 1981, 14,000 attempts. 1983, 14,000 attempts. But then in 1982, it drops by 50% to 70,000, 7,000. And then that kind of happens. Oh, that's also interesting. But yeah, that 1 year, and it looks like that year was just a bad year for rushing. They had averaged 4 yards per carry for 4 years, down to 3.8, then back up to 4. Your yards were down from around 57,000 to just below 30,000. Your yards per game was down about 13, and your attempts per game was staying at about the same. You're looking at going from 32 to 30, that's actually really interesting. I wonder, 82, what was happening in 82? I might want to do some research into that, because, man, that is really cool. Or cool, interesting. But then the massive jump, hitting the 70s, so it does not look like at any point before the 70s they had gone over 10,000. They have not. So it's 1969, it's 6,000, just below 7,000, it's just 6,800. And even the yards at 27,000. And then you go to 1970, a huge jump in just under 5,000 attempts. So 11,432. And then the yards goes up by 16,000 to 43,820. Sorry, I can't read numbers. That's interesting. I wonder what happened in 1970 specifically that made the league more rush heavy. Or I say rush heavy, more... I don't even know how to describe that. I guess more rush heavy, yeah. More rush heavy and then pretty efficient with it too. But you go down to the 30s. Like 3,000, and this is when there was only... Wait, was there expansions? Yes, that's what it was. Okay. So there were 16 teams in the league, and then in 70 you go up to 26 teams in the league. Got you. Okay, that explains a lot. I'm glad I noticed that. But yeah, you go back to 1932, there were 8 teams in the league and 3,020 or 238 rushing attempts. And only 10,500 yards, so you're looking at 3.3 yards per carry, which is awful. But yeah, so you'll see as time goes on with the NFL and the way the modern day NFL is going, you're seeing running backs. First of all, lifespan is just not there with the running back position, and it never has been. It's getting better for running backs now, but think of running backs like Bo Jackson. Think of Jim Brown. I'm struggling. Marcus Allen, kind of running backs from those older times from earlier on in the league, where it was just like the reason it's 3.3 is because pretty much, and we saw with passing, quarterbacks weren't very good. So it was who can run the ball better. And what that meant was you're probably having 7 or 8 guys in the box, and every play is just you'll hear those pads pop. You'll hear head-on collisions, and running backs, you kind of had to put your head down and you had to take it, because also at that time player safety rules weren't in place. So you're probably taking head-to-head hits. You're getting someone's helmet to the knee, to the thigh, to the stomach, even breaking ribs probably. Like football was a lot more physical in the 30s. Like, I don't think people know how physical football was in the 30s. It was absolutely insane. You had to be stupid to play football in the 30s, because you didn't even get paid as well as you do now. So running backs have become so much more efficient, and by that I mean yards per carry is going up, and they're becoming more versatile. You're seeing it really started. I'm trying to think who was a really good. I'm trying to think. Was Emmett? I don't think Emmitt Smith was that much of a receiving back, was he? I don't know much about Emmitt Smith, because he's one of the most overrated players of all time. He has all the records for rushing titles, but he was also in the league a lot longer than most other people. But he did average 4.2. So as far as receiving went, I mean, yeah, he was fine. I mean, he only had a couple seasons below 100 yards, but whoa, he actually got a lot of catches, but his yards per catch were never that high. I forget he was with Arizona. Yeah, so as far as receiving yards went, he ended up with 3,200 yards, which is okay for a running back. But, I mean, when you played for 14 years, But, he had 17,000 yards. Good for him. But, anyways, now you're seeing a lot more receiving backs, scat backs, third down running backs, whatever you want to call them. Guys who are not as big. You're not looking for someone who's a Derrick Henry, or someone who's just built like Jim Brown, or built like I'm not going to be able to juke you. I'm aware of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the next time you go to tackle me, you're going to hesitate. Like, I'm just going to pound you. If you're going to take me down, I'm going to make sure that my shoulder is in your stomach while I go down. That running back, while good in the league, is not the best solution to defenses. You're looking for like Christian McCaffrey, an Alvin Kamara, a Saquon Barkley, a Kareem Hunt. Players where you say hut, you catch the ball, and then your guys are covered, but your running back was able to get open in the flat, and so you just throw your check down. Like your James Whites. Who else is really good? Austin Eckler. Dalvin Cook is pretty good. Aaron Jones is good out of the backfield. I know I'm going to forget someone's favorite team, but I mean, Zeke used to be that, technically. Antonio Gibson's okay at it. Miles Sanders, I think, is actually pretty good out of the backfield. I just named every NFC East quarterback. Whatever. But those are the kind of running backs you're seeing now. And, I personally think Nick Chubb's receiving ability is underrated. But that's just me. But anyways, that's kind of what you need. You don't necessarily need the guy who's going to run over everyone, because that's not always the most useful. If it's to a point where you have to sorry, I just blanked out mentally. If it is a Hail Mary, you want a running back. You can use and you'll see a lot now, you'll use running backs to create mismatches. Because if you have someone like Christian McCaffrey, who, if Christian McCaffrey wanted to, he could stop playing running back and just play slot wide receiver and be fine. He has that ability. So if you're someone like Christian McCaffrey, you split him out wide. If they're dumb enough to put a linebacker on him, then Christian McCaffrey can route up a linebacker. Say they put a corner on him, then they're putting a linebacker on one of the receivers. So that's just putting yourself in a position to succeed. So you're looking for guys who are more efficient, faster, more versatile. Like, the most versatile running backs, like Saquon Barkley, I know he got hurt, and I think availability is the best ability, so we'll see what he does. But, in all honesty, if Saquon is healthy, dude's, the best overall running back in the league. I still think, for example, I'll still say Nick Chubb is a better pure runner than Saquon, but you can't deny, Saquon, you don't go number 2 overall as a running back for no reason, and that's another thing. Running backs, you cycle through them. You have your Adrian Petersons and your Frank Gores who stay in the league for a long time, but think, for example, David Johnson. Half of you don't know who David Johnson is. David Johnson in 2016 or 2017 was one of the best running backs in the league. But, he just fizzled out. You can't keep up that kind of hardcore ground and pound production for super long. Todd Gurley is another example. That's kind of different because of the arthritis. Le'Veon Bell, how quickly he faded out. You like all these running backs who were revolutionary and changing the game and were leagues above anyone else are now, Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell are still free agents. Plenty of running backs were signed in free agency. Running backs were drafted in the first round, the second round, third round, fourth round. They're still free agents. No one wants to sign them because they wouldn't be starters. Todd Gurley is just not a starter. And that hurt. I love Todd Gurley. I loved watching Todd Gurley play, but he's just not a starter now. Le'Veon Bell, hated watching Le'Veon Bell play just because he was a Steeler. And every time he played the Browns, he did good. Now, struggling to get a job. So, hopefully your SoundCloud rap career does well for you. But that's just, that's the running back position. What? Do I need to ramble on more? It's 18 minutes. That's good enough. So yeah, running backs. Running backs are getting a lot more efficient with their carries. Running backs are becoming more versatile. And granted, there are exceptions to the rules. Derrick Henry, not versatile. He's one-dimensional. Sorry, Derrick Henry diehard fans. Sorry, Derrick Henry simps. He's just not versatile. And you don't have to be versatile, in all honesty. Don't really know what else to say. He's just not versatile. When you look at him, and do you really, let me look it up, but you never go into a game against the Titans and say, all right, guys, we have to make sure Derrick Henry does not get a lot of receiving yards on us. No one's ever said that. Derrick Henry receiving stats. Derrick Henry in 5 years has 600, almost 700 yards. So, sorry, but you're not that good, bud. No offense. Derrick Henry's just overrated in general, but that's just me. Derrick Henry gets fed the ball like nothing. But his yards per carry is okay. Now, his yards per carry is... Let me just get close to the mic real quick. His yards per carry is incredibly boosted by the times he plays the Jaguars and the Texans. He plays in one of the worst divisions in football and reaps the benefits of it greatly. But people won't talk about it because he had over 2,000 yards. Did you know he didn't average over 4 yards a carry until week 4 or 5 of the regular season? Nick Chubb was averaging 10 yards per carry in the fourth quarter. 10. That means if you gave Nick Chubb the ball on 1st and 10, he was going to give you a first down. That's pretty good. Anyways, my problems with Derrick Henry are purely personal. If I fought him, I probably would lose, but I would have fun fighting him. Anyways, that is going to be it for this episode of the Preston Sports Podcast. Thank you all for listening. Remember, the running back position is dying, but don't let it die. Stick with your running backs. They deserve to be top 5 picks. They deserve to be top 5 picks because no one else can do what they do. I guess it'll be tomorrow. I need to check what teams I haven't done. Taylor Moton got signed to a contract extension. So I think I've already done the Panthers for a fix 'em up Friday. Don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably ask someone. I'll figure it out. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully, maybe. We'll see what happens. Hope you guys have a good night. See you guys tomorrow. I'll figure out what I'm going to talk about on Monday. Next week, we are going to do wide receivers for football philosophy. And, yeah, that's the plan. Talk to you guys tomorrow. See ya.